Welcome to our literature club. Is this your first time hearing about Doki Doki's Literature Club? Fantastic. Well, I'm glad that you're here, so let's talk about my poem that I just wrote. It's filled with some amazing things, and I can't wait for you to read it. Did you write yours? Oh, you're so cute. I know you weren't prepared, so I wrote you one myself. Here, check it out. Isn't it fantastic? I can't wait for you to enjoy my brand new video about Doki Doki Literature Club. Just sit back, relax, and don't let us take your life and soul and kill you. Doki Doki Literature Club, a visual novel turned horror game created by Team Salvato back in 2017. I just beat this for the very first time the other night, and wow. I was blown away. Doki Doki is something that I traditionally don't go for in video games. I'm not really like a point and click read guy, but this game was on my radar for a while, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to Japan next week, so let me just immerse myself in this different style, different culture, and prepare myself mentally for what I'm about to experience in real life. Now, this game is nothing that I hope it's like when I'm there, because this game gets a little wild, but I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed the fun little dating sim aspects, and I think this game has a lot to offer below the surface. Like, this game's deep, and it really talks about some points in life that I think video games don't often get towards. But if you don't like to read, this game is definitely not for you. You do a ton of that. So if you're not really into the whole reading thing, this is gonna be a great video for you. And if you're a Doki Doki fan, I'm excited to see your opinion on my thoughts of Doki Doki Literature Club. So if you've never seen one of my videos, my name is Squalo. We've been going through some of the greatest games in the past, and you know, I'm giving my opinion about them and what I'm learning through my first playthrough. We have our system here called GAS, yes, GAS, G for gameplay, A for art, and S for story. Now we're also doing the fear zone, so we are making sure these games that are horror games can leave the player in a fearful sensation. This is what we do. We have the comfort zone, we have the thrill zone, and we have the fear zone. A good horror game should have you bouncing between the three of these zones throughout the whole entire process. So without further ado, let's get into the gas of Doki Doki Literature Club. You can read my poem now, okay? Bottles. The gameplay in Doki Doki is a point and click style game, so there really isn't any action involved. It's more the player reading the story and then having some choices to make depending on what characters they want to pursue a little deeper. But this game is just really like a sheep in wolf's clothing. The beginning is to really lower you, to keep you in that comfort zone, kind of lull you into that comfort zone. At points I was like, when does it get scary? Like what's gonna happen? You know, I was getting a little frustrated, but as the gameplay slowly ramps up and you can start noticing some differences in the script and in the words and in the people that are talking to you, you really begin to question what's going on as a player. And when the game flips, oh, does it flip. The gameplay keeps the player in that comfort zone from start to just about halfway through the game. And when you get into Act 2, oh my goodness, it throttles you into the thrill zone, right into the fear zone, and it just boom, boom, like it just, oh, I don't know the word, I was trying to like gas going fast, but yes, you're in there. And the gameplay is not very like aggressive, you know, you're just kind of relaxing. But I think that's the point that they're trying to do. It's like to lull you in to this like, and then when it flips, the gameplay in Act 2, you're clicking, you're reading, you're like, oh my gosh, you're looking around the screen, like, what's behind it? You know, you're really starting to just get immersed completely into the game. But this is like a game that I was not expecting to have the value for a free game that it has, in one of the most interesting styles that I've played in a long time. So for the gameplay, I would say it just makes sense for this. I mean, what else could you want them to do? Like add a battle mechanic? Well, it's funny you say that, because I actually played a game recently that was inspired by Doki Doki Literature Club. It's called, hold on one second. What is it called? I'm gonna mess this up, and I'm sorry, I'm about to go to Japan. It's called Sunagari Chess Club, and they actually added a battle mechanic, and this game is 100% inspired by it, but more on that a little bit later, because I think it's interesting to see how much this game has spawned other clones like it. But the gameplay in Doki Doki, beautiful. Just exactly what you need to throttle you into the fear zone. Now, let's move on to the next most important thing about a game with visuals, the art. The art was created by Satchley and Delinquent. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but Satchley made the characters and the backgrounds are made by Delinquent, and these two created some of the most beautiful visual arts in an anime high school Japanese land that I've ever seen. I don't know how else to put it, but it does make sense. You know, it feels like you're in this world that's a picture book that's going along, and it feels right. You know, none of the characters feel out of place. The backgrounds feel good. They feel filled. I mean, you kind of really get immersed very quickly once you bite into the Doki Doki sauce. You're in. You know, you're just like, once you accept that you're playing a visual novel and trying to date. Anyway, I think the art in this game is actually something that really sticks out because it's nothing that is like huge, like wow, look at these graphics, boom. But it's like the genuine hand-drawn feeling. You know, you can see that they even worked on like each character having their own handwriting style because it is a literature club and they write poems. The art's beautiful, even down to when it gets gross and disgustingly violent. It's beautiful. Also, the music. Doki Doki was composed by Dan Salvato, and it's really important to the game because you're sitting and reading inside of these rooms, so there's not really much going on besides you reading and the music in your headphones. And the sound is extremely important in my opinion, because if there is no sound, you know the moment's big. You know something crazy is about to occur. But when the music's playing and you're reading along, it's like a safe, comforting sensation. I think the music really keeps you in a comfort zone, and then it can push you into the fear zone effectively, which I think is a very important part to horror games, the sound, because nothing is more scary than a scary sound. Oh my god, bro, it was so scary. Sound is dangerously underrated, and a good musical backing with great sound design can really elevate a horror game from to Doki Doki Literature Club's art is amazing. Maybe they should become Doki Doki's art club. I'm just kidding, don't do that. But what a great game it is for the art. Now, let's move on to the... Okay. What's happening? The story in Doki Doki Literature Club is the cream of the crop. I mean, it's a visual novel, so you better hope the story is good, because what would a book video game type thing be without a good story? I know in my past videos, my accent and the way I pronounce things can be really bad, and I promise you I am going to butcher these names of these characters. Okay, so we have Sayori, Natsuki, Monika, and we have Yuri. And the player, which is you, who you name yourself, and of course I named myself Rat, you know how I do. You are a boy, the only boy that gets somehow tricked into joining this literature club. Well, not really tricked, you run into your neighbor who is Sayori, and she's like, hey, you want to join the literature club? And you're like, no, not really, but you end up doing it anyway because you don't really want to be mean to her. But hey, you stick around because you got 4 girls, man. I mean, it's you and 4 girls. I mean, what guy in their puberty is gonna say no to that? It makes sense. You're gonna do it. You're probably gonna do it. And that's how the downfall of my character, the Rat, begins. So like any young man that is joining a literature club filled with women, you're obviously going to take that opportunity to try to date one of them. So the game stories like this, you're talking to all 4 of them, building a relationship. How that works in the story, it's kind of mixed with the gameplay. You go to this poem part and you pick words from a poem that you think the girls would like more because you figure out in the story what type of poems they like to write. And it's like kind of like an infusion of gameplay and story. That's why a gameplay story is kind of tough for this game, because they're kind of infused, and then you can start becoming closer to Yuri if you like the way she acts, or Natsuki if you like somebody who's a little bit more like you know, that type beat. And if you want like Sayori, like comfortable, friendly, like you know, never a dull moment. Or if you're really trying to get with like the coolest, baddest girl, Monika. So, you know, you're trying to get with her, you gotta pick the proper things, but she's a little different. And we'll get to that. So as the game goes on, you start building these relationships, and you start to realize that Sayori has a little bit more than just friendship for you. She kind of wants to be your girlfriend. And you're kind of left there like thinking, well, what do I do? I don't know, man. Like I want her, and her, man. Like you're like future Hendrix in this game, if you guys know who that is. This game is really a masterclass in writing a story that deceives the player into thinking that they know what's going to happen, but then the twist, like twist, and the signs are there for you. But like you know, if you get like caught up in the whole world and the ambiance, it glazes right past you. A lot of the parts where it's like, oh yeah, there's some darkness here for sure. Yeah, this is a horror game, right? And yeah, you remember that. You do. I want to say real quick, there's going to be some spoilers from this point on. Spoiler coming in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so there's this point in the game where you're going back to your house and you're getting ready for this festival, and you have Yuri coming over. For me, that's the case. I don't know if that's different for anyone else, but yeah, she's coming over and you're about to work on some projects, and you notice that Sayori is acting a little weird. So you go to check on her, and she's definitely going through some things. You find out she's depressed, very depressed, which is a lot. I mean, it's a big thing to drop on the player. You're like, oh damn, like you feel bad for her. You just want to help her, and your character wants to help her, and you just start to like, damn man, like I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like she's always happy, but you know, the happiest people sometimes can be the saddest on the inside. And that realization starts to kick in. And from that point on, the darkness level just, boop, we're going to Horrorville, baby. Like right there, like that's one-stop train to darkness and despair and scariness and horrifying imagery. So it really makes sense that this game is about depression, sadness, self-harm, you know, some of these things that you don't really expect to be in such a beautifully colored visual novel about high school girls, but it's all there. Trust me, it's all there. Now, the story really starts to develop in Act 2 into a very scary, horrifying experience. You find out that Monika is actually like this game-bearing person that controls the narrative, and she's just trying to get closer to you because she's kind of sentient and she lives in your computer. Yeah, that's a lot to swallow. But yeah, that's the truth. And it's very fun actually interacting with her near the end of the game. I find that to be a fun part when they break the fourth wall, and it's like a haha, you know, you're kind of just transversing, and then they start saying stuff that they find on your PC, like, you know, that you're streaming. And I was like, wait, you know that I'm recording this? And they're like, yeah, I know you're recording this. Like, you know where I live? They don't know all that, but you get what I'm saying. They start picking out some like general files, and it adds more to the horror elements. The horror starts to jump out later in the game. You really start to just like catapult into the fear zone, which is a lot different from traditional horror games where you're kind of expecting to be scared. This game keeps you in the comfort zone for a very long time and then just like pushes you across the abyss of fear for eternity, and you're scared. Okay, so let me tell you my conclusive thoughts on Doki Doki Literature Club. This game is fantastic. Definitely nothing that I expected that I would enjoy as much as I did, but I did. And it really spawned me to think, has this game inspired other games? And boy, has it. 1 second. The Sunagari Chess Club game. Oh my goodness. It's a free itch.io game, just came out about a week ago. I suggest you guys go check it out if you're Doki Doki fans and know nothing of it. It's a fun game. It's very similar, except there is actually a battle mechanic. It's got very Doki Doki vibes. I enjoyed it. It's fun. The characters, you know, it's like the similar dating type beat where you're like, you know, girls, I'm the only guy, you know, type thing. And if you like Doki Doki, I think you have to give this one a chance. I think as it develops, it could be a very interesting title and potentially something that is another cult classic like Doki Doki Literature Club. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please hit a like, definitely go in the comments. Let's chat about Doki Doki Literature Club. And with that being said, YouTube thinks you will like this one. Yep, this video right here that I made for you, or, you know, you might like, and if you're subscribing, that's cool. But like, you know, I'm in your PC right now. Think about that. You know, I'm like Minoki, like I'm like thinking what you might like. Minoki, I said Monika. God, I'm such an idiot. All right, bye. Ha, 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 ha.